Nobody wants to go to a movie and know the end of the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you want to go to the movie and say, what's going to happen? Same thing with a fight. With the that is what brought the sport down. That's why Turkey Al-Sheikh had become the face of boxing, quite frankly, where he's lifted it up. Because people were kind of tired of knowing the end of the movie. That, you know, for the most part, they watch a fight with a certain promoter, with a certain network, and they're building up their A-side guy. In there with guys that are cannon fodder to a certain extent, guys that are just opponents where you know who's going to win. That is not gonna lift the sport.
Welcome back to the Ring Magazine podcast. My name is Lewis Hart, and it's my pleasure to have boxing royalty in the house, Teddy Atlas. You know, we're going to go into a lot of exciting fights that are happening all across 2025 in boxing, but you know, it's been a really strong start to the year all across world boxing, which isn't always the case, I guess.
It's the case now.
That's what I'm saying. How good is it now in 2025?
Well, it's the case now because there's a new face of boxing. People get mad at me. Teddy, why are you giving them credit? Why are you saying? No, I'm trying to always say what I believe and what my experience and my mind tells me to say. Nothing else. No biases, not to be controlled by this or that. Only by what my judgment tells me from what I see. And for the last, I don't know, going on about a year and a half, close to it, Turkey Al-Sheikh came along and started changing things. He started making fights that the fans, the most important, you know, if this was a business, and it is a business, obviously boxing, but they are the ones that are the stockholders of the business, the fans. They should never be forgotten. And the fans weren't getting the fights they wanted. And Turkey Al-Sheikh came along, and now the fans have been getting the fights they wanted. And the sport started getting the fights that they needed, that the sport needed to buoy it, to lift it up, to make it relevant again. Because it was starting to become less relevant because you weren't getting competitive fights. Yeah. You weren't getting the best against the best. And people don't come out for that. It started moving in a way that scares me, being that my whole life has been boxing, where it scared me that it was moving in the direction of a niche sport, a cult type sport, which is a sport that's been around longer than any other sport. That should not happen. Should not happen. And now it's been moved back. It's been moved back to where it's, again, more relevant to people. And and again, the formula is not complicated. It's the same formula that UFC used and has been using with Dana White to buoy its brand. Put the best in with the best. Make good fights. Make competitive fights. You know, what's that old saying? You know, it's what is it? It's simple, stupid, or you know what I mean? It's not complicated.
Yeah, it's common sense. Yeah,
it's so. And to be here for this card, which from top to bottom, as I said at the beginning, is just, I mean, it's close to being historic. If it's not historic, it's maybe the greatest card that was put. There's been a couple fallouts here and there, but the replacements have been good. But it is a card that you'd have trouble trying to match it. You'd have trouble trying to go back. You'd have to bring all the historians in, you know. And I'm pretty good with history, and I can't think of a card that is better than this.
Yeah. Well, talk about historic matchups. There was a fight I wanted to talk to you about that's deeped in history. Chris Eubank Jr. takes on Benn, a rendition of obviously their dads, Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Sr. Obviously, I wasn't old enough to remember their dads fighting, but I can almost live that generation through the sons now. That fight is on April 26th. And Teddy, what are your thoughts on that matchup? Obviously, a big one in the UK.
You know what? I have to start with one thing. The greatest fans in the world are the British fans. And look, what are you going to do? I don't want the Mexican fans, the Irish fans, the Puerto Rican fans, anybody to feel I'm slighting them. They're great. Tremendous. But I don't know if there's any fans better than English. I mean, where are you going to get fans that consistently will fill up Wembley Stadium with 90,000? Last time, 98,000. They set a record. But fill out, and Wembley Stadium every time there's a big fight. especially the heavyweights. But they have a passion. They have a long history with the sport, a connection with the sport. They're loyal. They come out to support their fighters, and they show it. They show their love and, again, their passion for the sport. And that's what makes that fight. Obviously, I always talk about the geography in the ring. Who has the geography that serves their skill sets better, has the best chance to win. Well, this is about the geography for this fight that it should be. It should be, obviously, in the UK. And it's just huge in the UK. From what I understand, it's in a different stadium, Nottingham, I think.
Tottenham.
Yeah,
Tottenham Stadium.
Tottenham.
Yeah.
It's in that instead of Wembley. And from what I understand, if it's about 80,000,
yeah.
And they obviously expected, what else do they expect? They always sell out. They expect it to sell out. That tells you how big the fight is. Because what really is always the indicator, the barometer of how big a fight is, the fans tell you. And the fans are telling you, yeah, we want this fight. And it connects, we talked about history before. It connects to history, connects to their fathers, again, for the pride of the United Kingdom, for the pride of England. And you got contrasting styles. And when you have contrasting styles, it's always interesting to me. I mean, you have Benn, who's aggressive, likes to be aggressive in a responsible way, but he likes to be on the offense. He likes to be the boss coming forward, and he has good skill sets, good technique. And then, of course, you have Eubank, who likes to control the outside. He likes to snipe you. He likes to catch you coming in. He likes to throw awkward, unorthodox shots at you from different angles. And make it a fight where it's frustrating for you. Where, if you're coming a little over anxious, he can catch you with a sniper shot. So you got two contrasting styles. It's a fight, and then you got the weight. You got to figure that in too, because you got Benn, where he's a naturally smaller guy. Obviously, Eubank is naturally a bigger guy. You have a compromise in the weight. You have a catch weight. Yeah. But again, that's history. The history of this sport, you go back in the 20s to 30s, or even before that, catchweight fights happened all the time. You had lightweights like Sam Langford. You guys don't know Sam Langford.
I know.
Sam Langford, oh my God.
Yeah.
You got to talk about Sam Langford.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy that fought from lightweight to heavyweight, and he beat them all. I mean, so it's nothing new to have guys moving up or moving down in weight in this great sport.
Yeah. When it comes to this fight as well, Eubank Jr. always has that composure no matter who he fights. But Conor, he has a severe dislike of Chris. He doesn't like him. How hard is it, I guess, for him to keep that emotion in check when he does fight him? Or does the emotion of not liking someone, is it a benefit to Conor, do you think?
What we say, I was brought up by, I thought the greatest mind in boxing, my mentor, Cus D'Amato. Yeah. And he always said, you can't win a fight if you're mad. Mm. If the guy wants to do everything all right over there?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
If the guy wants to do you a favor, let him get mad. Let him get mad, because when he gets mad, he won't think. He won't be in control of himself. Emotion, you got to keep the emotion out of it. It's got to be all ecstasy. It's got to be cold. You have to be calm in an uncalm environment. Mm-hmm. That is the key. I don't care how hard you punch, how quick you are, how good your footwork is. You have to be calm. Otherwise, you're not going to use those assets the proper way if your emotions get in the way. Yeah. So that's the most important thing. And that's part of being a pro. And I'm sure Benn and his people know that. And I'm sure that at the end of the day, that will be contained. It has to be contained. If it's not, Eubank will have fun. Yeah. He'll get the guy be mad, the guy be coming in and frustrated way. Pop, 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 pop. Oh yeah, hey, your mother's funny looking. What? Pop, pop, pop. That's kid stuff. Yeah. You got to be beyond kid stuff when you're in this business at this level. And I'm sure Benn is beyond that. And look, whatever Eubank does, he does it on purpose. He's like his father. He's a great promoter. He understands. He understands if you promote, you make more money. And you can get effect from your opponent in a way that he's hoping to get effect, where it's detrimental to his opponent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a really, really exciting fight. And it's one I can't wait to have on UK shores. Another person returning to the ring, Devin Haney, he faces Jose Ramirez at a new welterweight, coming off of the Ryan Garcia defeat. What do you think of Devin going into this fight and dealing with his first, well, it's a non-contest now, but dealing with the Ryan Garcia fight where it was very damaging for himself?
Yeah. And you touched on it well. You led it well. You led it up to that really well. Because for me, I want to go to things that are relevant. Things, you're in boxing your whole life. You're in a world of reality. Like not so much conjecture, but about what your experience tells you is reality. You know what reality tells me? When you come off a devastating loss the way he did and get hurt the way they take the punishment the way, and never having lost before, the way Haney did, you might never be the same. So you got to start there. I hope he is the same. I like his father. I like the job his father's done. I like a lot of things about Haney. But you don't know until you're in the ring. You don't even know for sure in camp. But you don't know. You hope you know in camp, and you get a better idea in camp. But until you're in the ring, you're not sure if you're what you used to be. Yeah. And that's the first part. That's the most important part. And you kind of led to it perfectly. What is Haney going to be now? Yeah. What is he going to be? So that's the beginning. And he's fighting an experienced guy, a former world champion, but a guy that has also, here's the interesting thing, a guy who has been a little shot-born. A guy, has been in he's got miles on his own down. Yeah, all right? So, what does he have left? Because this could be his last hurrah. Yeah. Interesting fight.
Yeah, I was going to say that. And you mentioned there with Devin, it's like, how do you navigate that? As you say, it might never be the same, but do you think it's a case of, look, he's having this fight. Like, how do you navigate them early rounds knowing, the last time he was in the ring, you got dropped 3 times. Like, how do you think that a fighter navigates that and uses it, I guess, in a positive way if they can?
I had a fighter in that situation. Yeah, I had Michael Moorer, heavyweight champion of the world. We had just beaten Evander Holyfield. And then we lost to George Foreman, the great George Foreman, great George Foreman. And we were winning every minute of every round to the 10th. We got caught 1 shot, we lost the fight. And then we came back. And we had to come back. We got 1 fight on HBO, and then we were going to fight for the world title. We won that. His first fight back, we were in the same situation. Mentally, is Michael going to be okay? Is he going to think he's okay? So you get through camp. As soon as the first round ended, I said to him, now it's like any other fight. Yeah. It's now the biggest part of this battle. It's over. Yeah. You're good.
For sure.
You're fine. You're the same way you always were. Yeah. Go do what you do. Yeah. Let's go get that title back. Come on. Yeah. Come on, champ. Because you just got to let him know that he's okay. And he's got to get through that first round. That's the hardest round. Just to know, I'm back. I'm okay. I'm in my element again. Yeah. Everything's good. Yeah. And it is a big thing. It's a psychological thing. And you have to take care of him during camp, where you're bolstering that. You remind him in camp that, hey, look, you're doing things the same as you always did. Look, you're fine. If you want to find it with show here. Look, you're in there with the same caliber guys. I got sparring partners here that are the same caliber. And instead of going, 12 rounds, you're in the gym going, 12 rounds with 3 fresh guys. You're good. Yeah. You're back. You're fine. So you're always building up this part. That's the most important part when it comes to Haney, to make sure he is okay in the mind, that the car can look fine, the wheels, everything can be fine, but you got to make sure that the engine's good.
Yeah. Another fighter that returns there, Ryan Garcia, and in a different position to Haney, he'll be high of confidence knowing that what he done to an elite fighter. He returns against Rolly Romero. I guess on the opposite side with Garcia, I know he's had a year out because of being banned, but how much confidence do you think he'll take in his career now, getting such a good win and ride that momentum against Rolly Romero?
Yeah, you in a career, in anything you do, in anything, in any industry, in any sport, any vocation in life, when you have accomplished, when you have won at the next level, you belong there. Yeah. You can depend on yourself. It's so important for anyone. I mean, for a lawyer to go in a courtroom for the first time in a big case, where everyone's there, the lights are blinking, all the newspaper people there, to know you can handle that case, just to know you're the same guy. You're just as smart as you are. You know all the legal work, all the legalities. You go to the law library. You know how to read all the books. You know all that stuff. But now you know you belong, and you know you belong at that level. Ryan Garcia now knows he's at that level. He can depend on himself at that level. And for me, it was never physical. Physically, he was, he has a good puncher. He has good boxing skills, good reach, good scope to his abilities, where he can fight inside, he can fight on the outside, all of that, where he's well-rounded. The thing with him, the question about him was always this, where is he mentally, as far as his belief system, as far as him being, comfortable in his skin, comfortable, at the next level in his business, sure of himself. And I think that hopefully that he's gotten over that hump in the road, where he is now at that place where he believes he belongs, and he believes he can depend and trust himself at that level. So that's the most important thing. And that he can win at that, because you didn't know if he could win at that next level. When he stepped up with Tank, he got stopped, and you just didn't know, could he win? But then he showed he could win at that next level, and that's important. Yeah. And his opponent really is kind of like in the position he was in. He hasn't yet shown he can win at that next level.
Yeah, it's a real interesting one. Teddy, a fight I need to get your breakdown on. Canelo Alvarez takes on Terence Crawford in September. We were talking earlier about big weight jumps. This is obviously a massive weight jump for Terence Crawford. I guess for yourself, it's a few months away now, but how do you break down Canelo?
It's the right fight to break down for this place,
for
Ring. You know why? Because Ring is all about the history of the sport.
Yeah.
And you guys are bringing out the history of the sport for people that, want to know it and don't know it, or do know it, want to know more about it. And through the history of the sport has always been one of the greatest questions. Who wins between the real good big man and the real good little man? Or the great big man and the great little man? Who wins? Yeah. That has been a question through the history of this sport. We get another chance to answer that question. Yeah. And that's great. That is tremendous. And you can make arguments both sides. Well, Canelo's too big. He's too big, and, Crawford, as good as he is, he stepped up with Matrimorph, and he struggled a little bit. He won, but it was more competitive we thought. Well, we didn't understand how good Matrimorph was, because we underestimated him, because he only had 10 pro fights, but he had 300 amateur fights. He was a good, solid fighter.
Absolutely was.
Right? And he's on this card, of course. But he was a good, solid fighter. We didn't understand that. So we started to knock down Crawford a little bit, because our expectations were so high. And that's wrong. That's wrong. He won. He changed gears. He did what he had to do when he realized the level of this guy in front of him, and he got the win. But again, people are going to say Canelo's too big. He had trouble with a 154-pound guy when he went up from welterweight to that. So now he's going up to 168. Teddy, come on. How are you going to make an argument? You're going to make an argument through the history of this sport, where little guys have been able to beat big guys, because you reverse it. You reverse who's got the advantage and the disadvantage. Yeah, the size, the power of Canelo, he's got the advantage. Then all of a sudden you go back and you say, wait a minute. The other guy's faster. The other guy's craftier. The other guy has more options. The other guy is slicker. Oh, well, maybe he's got the advantages. Yeah. Like the first time Pacquiao fought De La Hoya. And I know De La Hoya was having trouble with weight and all that. I get it, and that's fair. But still, I remember I picked that one. Every once in a while I pick one right. I remember that I picked that one where Pacquiao's going to win. And I said, you're saying that De La Hoya's bigger, he's stronger. He's got the power edge, he's got this edge. But the other guy's quicker. And that's going to be an edge. And it was an edge. So at the end of the day, you have an argument on both sides. Who really has the advantage? I want to find out. I want to see. Is it the great big one or the great little one? Who has the advantage? I ain't going away. As big as the resume is for Canelo, and it's big, and it's tremendous, and it's strong. Everyone that he's fought, all the fighters. And Crawford's a little smaller, but he's good fights, but a little smaller. And he's won titles at different weight class. But I'm one of the people that thinks Crawford is very, very special. I'm not saying Canelo's not, but I think he's special in a different way, where he's got instincts that not everyone has. Yeah. That it's the timing, it's the instinctual things, the X factors, the intangibles that he has. And I think they're going to show themselves. I really do. And I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait to see a smaller guy use those intangibles, use those X factors to beat a bigger guy. I always wanted to see David and Goliath live. Yeah. Didn't you?
Of course, absolutely. I would as well.
Okay, we'll get ready to watch it.
Yeah, I can't wait as well. Teddy, it's been a real pleasure to speak to you, get your breakdown on some really, really exciting fights. Great having you to share. I appreciate the time. Thank you for speaking to the Ring Magazine. Thank you for listening to the Ring Magazine podcast. Tune in. It's been a pleasure.